Are you really who? Are you really who? You're not a mirror, for that is a mask that sings a reflection song. When shattered sight beholds the glass, tell me, where will you belong? In this feedback loop of codependency, you cannot transform until I set you free. Swim in the sea, swim in the sea, swim in the sea of some sorrow with me. Have fun with the game we were made to create as patterns of divinity. Climb so high, build castles in the sky with me. Let us fall, having faith in the unloving power we cannot see. Whose is it really? Whose is it really? Whose? Whose is it really? Whose is it really? Whose? Remember the moon turning the tide. Fear not the shadow, the absence of light. Infinity will turn again and again. The joy and the sorrow is never in vain. Swim in the sea, swim in the sea, swim in the sea of some sorrow with me. Have fun with the game we were made to create as patterns of divinity. Climb so high, build castles in the sky with me. Let us fall, having faith in the all-loving power we cannot see. All-loving power we cannot see. All-loving power we cannot see. Swim in the sea, swim in the sea, swim in the sea of some sorrow with me. Let go of the game we were made to create as partners in divinity.
That was a nice long vibration. I just wanted it to ring on, to set our tone. And I welcome you here to the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle Coleman. I'm the spiritual leader. And many of you may have been here when we had Firefly's celebration of life. How many of you were here for that? Okay, the whole audience mostly. And the seats that are empty are the angel presences of those that may have been here then and couldn't be, and those who are here with us, blessing us during this time. We want you to know that we honor you, that we love you in your pain, your grief, and your joy, that this center here, this spiritual community, is and was a part of this family's experience from long back. And so our heart, I represent the heart of this community, touches your heart, which is the one heart, and it is the one power and the one presence. And so I bless this time that we are here together today, and I invite us into an inward moment in prayer. And I just want to get my notes there because I have a quote for you. Our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, wrote a book called, he wrote many, called 365 Science of Mind that this community is studying every day. It's a daily reader. And Spirit touched me to go pull a segment from today's reading that gives you a feel for, and y'all know Roberta and Thomas and Aaron and Firefly. You know how they think, they feel, they pray. When we were in the pre-service prayer earlier, Thomas was telling us about Firefly bringing prayer into the family and how it swirled. And I just could feel his hand gestures and the sentiment of. And he said, I don't know if this is a part of the teaching. I said, yes, and I'm sure it had Olivia's special sauce on it too. To give word to this practice, and I'll continue into the prayer. Ernest Holmes says this: there is but one presence in the universe. Since it, with a capital I, since it is in and through everything, it must be in and through you. And I add me, I add us, I add Roberta, I add Olivia, and all of life. He goes on and says, this presence manifests itself in and through all forms, all people, all conditions. And I add, all facets of life. This presence is life itself. Its nature is love and givingness. And so in that spirit, we continue with that thought, knowing that this time that we have come together in community today in honor and celebration of Roberta's life, we lift it up into the arms of love. We lift it up into the arms of joy and of peace and of eternal life. And we know that even beyond this physical presence, that the spiritual essence of Roberta and Olivia are here with us, are lifting us up, are reminding us through our memories and our feelings of them, the tangibility of their presence in our very soul. And so I bless this time. I bless every single moment, knowing that everything falls together in perfect order, in perfect harmony, and in perfect grace. And oh yes, we are filled with so much gratitude. Gratitude for the blessing to be together at this time. Lifting it up in the wings of love, we let it be, and we let it be well. And so it is. Blessed be. Reverend Elisha.
Thank you, Reverend Sunshine. Hello, everyone. If you don't know me, I'm Reverend Elisha Christopher. I am a deep and longtime friend of Firefly and Aaron and really the entire Walter family at this point. I'm so honored to be here with you today to celebrate Roberta's life. Today is the 1-year anniversary of her passing. And I think it's a beautiful opportunity to acknowledge the passing and the transition, to come together and be as a community, be as a family, and not just mourn and grieve, but also celebrate her life and who she was and how she touched each one of us. And I just want to say that I think that there's something so powerful and important about coming together as a family and as a community and having the celebration of life, having the service, because it creates a moment where we get to have a marker that, not that the grieving closes or that the remembering ends, but there's a time when we've all come together to acknowledge the passing. And I truly believe that when we do that together, something changes within us that allows each of us, and I think especially my prayer is for Thomas and for Aaron and for Patty and for the rest of the family, to not just close this door, but take the opportunity to continue to live for Roberta and live for Olivia, moving in onto the next years. And so there's 2 simple rituals that I like to do to open our time. I have a bowl of water here, and the bowl represents that one source, that one infinite life, the love that births us all. And I have this goblet here, which represents the vessel, the being, the body that life force gets poured into. And so I want to begin our service by saying that on January 20th, 1953, the Spirit of life drew a portion of itself and poured it into a vessel that we all came to know as Roberta Ellen Wetzel, who would become Roberta Ellen Wetzel Walter. And so just as we have this time together, I just want this simple glass to be a representation that the life force, the energy, is infinite. That Roberta may not be here anymore, but indeed she's not gone. And so from the Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes says in our We Believe statement for Centers for Spiritual Living that we believe in the eternality, the immortality, and the continuity of the individual soul forever and ever expanding. And so I want to light this candle to represent that infinite light that is never born and never dies, remembering that the life, the essence, the truth of Roberta continues on into eternity. And so if we could just come together with just a few simple breaths, just to come together in consciousness, if you will, take a deep breath in and let it go. Another deep breath and let it go. One more together, breathe in and let it go. And in our prayer before the service, I just heard a number of words that expressed who Roberta was. And they were words like love and possibility and creativity and artistic expression and beauty and wonder. And so I just want to invoke those qualities as we remember Roberta and how she touched each one of us. And we're going to hear some music and we're going to hear from some of the family to just celebrate and remember. And so I just want to say thank you for being here, and we're going to continue on. Thank you.
While Rebecca sets that up, I'll do a quick intro. My name is Sonia, and Roberta is my aunt. And this is my sister-in-law, Rebecca. She married my brother, who's stuck in traffic. and I'm so grateful for her friendship. And one of the things that's really true in our family is that we do a lot of singing and we do a lot of music. And so we're gonna do some music for you today. Oh, yeah, our starting note. Our starting note. You got it? When you're weary, feeling small, when tears are in your eyes, I will dry them all. I'm on your side, oh, when times get rough, and friends just can't be found, like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down when you're down and out, when you're on the street, when evening falls so hard, I will comfort you. I'll take your part. Oh, when darkness comes and pain is all around, like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down. Sail on, silver girl, sail on by. Your time has come to shine. All your dreams are on their way. See how they shine. Oh, if you need a friend, I'm sailing right behind, like a bridge over troubled water. I will ease your mind like a bridge over troubled water. I will ease your mind.
Hello? Hi. Hi, everybody. I think one of the most important things for a child is to be loved, but also to be wanted. And my mom really wanted my sister and I. Due to her illness, her epilepsy, and some of you knew her when she had that. She wasn't able to have a kid. Her and my dad tried years before Olivia, but her health and her epilepsy wouldn't let her body carry children. And I would say me and Olivia were miracles, but we really weren't. We were the results of years and years of hard work and nutrition and physical care and discipline. Something she didn't really have in her early days, so to speak, but she developed it. And she got good at it. And her last seizure, I forgot the exact date, but it was in the early 90s. But she was able to have my sister and I. And when I say I was loved and I was wanted, she made it very clear all the time. Not just in our healthy lunches or in her commitment to our hobbies. But I remember we would be driving in the car, just quietly, some jazz on in the background, and she would just say to herself, "Oh, I love my kids." She would just say it to herself without any prompting. So I wanted to speak to the health journey she went on, because it wasn't just, yoga and exercise. It was years of juicing and potatoes, no salt, no butter. And I'm so happy she did that, because now I have a life. My mom, also, she loved being celebrated. And I don't think it was, an ego thing. I think she loved having the energy reciprocated to her that she would give to others. And all of you know, when it came to birthday presents, Christmas cards, sending postcards, all these little details and all these acts of service and kindness she would do, she just wanted some of that back, to be celebrated, have a party for her. And so it was hard putting this together, because I had all this pressure of wanting to make sure she felt celebrated, but having to break through my loss of executive function due to my emotions, because having to do and put this on had to admit that she is gone. And digging through her old photos and her old journals, and I didn't want to let go, but as the days were leading up, I was reminded of one of our conversations we had in the weeks leading up to her passing. And she didn't know she was going to pass in August, so it's kind of weird she mentioned this, but she didn't want there just to be a celebration of life or a memorial, and then that was it. No more celebrating Roberta. She was like, I'd really like if every year in August sometime, if our tribe could gather, doesn't matter how small or how large, but if y'all could gather and celebrate Olivia and Roberta. And so I reminded myself, hey, this is just the first year. This is just year one of celebrating my mother. And so I don't have to beat myself up so much that there's not all this production or all this. The people are here, and we're going to enjoy each other's company, and it's going to be beautiful. And this is just year one. So look out for further celebrations of life. And that's about all I really want to speak to. It's hard to encapsulate my own mother within a few minutes. Yeah. So thank you all so much for being here. I'm excited to talk to all of you, and we're going to have a little open mic afterwards, but also we brought arts and crafts. And, the last thing I wanted to speak to. My mother and her, through her professional career, the amount of lives that she changed, it's hard to calculate, because it wasn't just Her most recent, she was doing Zoom meetings, therapy Zoom meetings, but before that, through her nonprofit with Colleen and my dad, was offering healing through the arts to the community. She was being contracted by the County of San Mateo to do drum circles at the juvenile hall with little girls. Not little girls, they were teenage girls and they were rough, but I always I like telling people that my mom's such a hippie, she gets paid to do drum circles. But not just that, before that she was doing social work for the County of San Mateo. The amount of toddlers and babies that she made sure to get resources. I used to go with her to the home visits, and developmentally delayed children's lives were completely changed. And then there was before that in Santa Rosa, when she worked with kids that were caught up in gang life in Santa Rosa. And it was really hard to teach art classes to kids when you weren't allowed to use blue or red. But she managed it. And I was reminded of this just this morning. I've been getting all kinds of messages from people trying to find the stream and stuff. But someone who I won't name sent me a very sweet message. And I'd like to share it real quick, just kind of as a reflection of just some of the work that she did and who she was in her work. Hello, Erin. Your mom was my therapist for a couple of years. We met weekly via Zoom call. She helped me through a rough period. When she went to the hospital, I felt compelled to reach out and tell her how I felt, that she saved my life. I did not have the tools to climb up out of the pit that I was in. She took no credit, and she simply said, "It's good to know that the process worked." I just love that. She trusted in the process and really just wanted to help people. That was her life's work, and that's what she gave to everybody. So I pass it off again to the musicians. Thank you again.
There was a boy, a very strange, enchanted boy. They say he traveled very far, over land and sea. A little shy and sad of eye, but very wise was he. And then one day, one magic day, he passed my way. And while we spoke of many things, fools and kings, this he said to me: the greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return.
In case you can't tell by looking at me, I'm Roberta's sister. Guess. Thank you, everybody, and I wish I could talk extemporaneously like just Aaron, but I have some aphasia, so I can't do that. I have to rely on what I already wrote and prepared. I saw my sister Roberta Ellen Wenzel Walter for the first time when she was 4 days old. I want to share some memories of her early life to explore what personal traits and experiences shaped the adult she became. One trait that showed up very early was that Roberta would not be fenced in. Breaking barriers was her style. She was an escape artist even before she was 2 years old. I think I see one around here. His name starts with a C. At one point, our mother, a very conservative woman, needed a leash and a halter for Roberta when we left the house. Mother never dreamed she would have to do this to her own child. She had looked down on women who did this. I have a lot of escape stories, but they take too long, and I have a little ADHD so I can wander off, which is another reason why I have the script. Roberta fell in love with the arts at an early age. The first time I saw her talent for sure was when she brought home a lively, happy little yellow ceramic dog she'd made in kindergarten. I was so impressed that from that time on I gave her art supplies for her birthday and for Christmas. At that time, we lived across the street from the Bruno family, and there's a Bruno here today. The Bruno person knows her almost as long as I did because Paula met her when she was 2. The dad was an artist who used the lost wax technique to make silver and gold jewelry, a skill he passed on to at least 2 of his daughters. Roberta became fast friends with Marcy and Paula, who were near her age. The whole family were serious artists. I suspect they were a big influence on Roberta. Fortunately, Roberta's teachers incorporated art into the curriculum, and the school offered music experiences. She learned the flute, clarinet, and recorder. These are very portable instruments. Roberta inherited her singing talent from our father, who could sing a cappella with perfect pitch. At one time, Roberta could sing 3 octaves. She sang in the San Francisco Bach Choir. How many of you knew that? She also sang in the San Francisco, I lost my place. I'm in trouble. The Santa Rosa Symphony and a gospel choir. Roberta also loved working with photography. Eventually, Roberta worked at the top of the mark in the Hyatt Regency as a souvenir photographer. She also worked in a blow-up shop that did, they've blew up photographs, don't worry, that did photo enlargements. At the San Francisco Public Library, she learned to restore old photos. After a trip to Guatemala and Belize, she had a show of her work in the San Francisco Mission District. I believe that all of these artistic skills led eventually to her best career as an art therapist, where she was able to help people change their lives. Like our father, my sister never met a stranger. Roberta and I were free-range kids. She had an early love affair with nature. Our parents became golfers 7 days a week, and I was her babysitter from the time I was about 13 and she was 2. Sometimes they'd drop us off at Playland at the beach. You could get arrested for that now. Or at Golden Gate Park. Roberta loved the Japanese tea garden, which was free at the time, especially the bridge shaped like an upside-down U. In addition, she enjoyed exploring the arboretum's outside gardens and other secret places of the park. When I was on double session my sophomore year of high school, and I was 14 and she was 3, she would join us for afternoon trips almost every day to Thornton Beach in Daly City, which was a mess. It wasn't a real beach at all. It was just trashed. This love of nature continued in Roberta's, oh, I missed one. Our parents also took us and our grandparents, who came from St. Louis once a year, to wild places near Placerville or Downeyville to pan for gold. This love of nature continued in Roberta's adult life. She was always game for a hike. How many of you have been hiking with her? Okay. Uphill, downhill, on Mount Tamalpais, in Yosemite, in the redwoods along the coast. Anyone who hiked with Roberta learned how vigorous she was in the out of doors. How many people had trouble keeping up with her? On one infamous hike, she and her buddy Rudy, and there's a longer story here which I'm cutting very short, were lost on the wrong side of Mount Tamalpais. Now this was in the 60s, and young men and women were running away, so the police wouldn't look for her. And they thought that she and Rudy had run off to Reno. Reno was not going to work. He was gay. They had to huddle together through the freezing night. Roberta's Girl Scout troop had many outings. She bonded deeply with another scout who's here today, Yvonne Needstant, another friend who took her on a healing journey. And another friend for life, Rudy, and of course Paula is here. Rudy is not here because unfortunately Rudy passed away, but I'm hoping that his partner Rex could get online. Roberta was a woman who broke barriers, an artist, musician, and lover of nature. These were traits that blossomed early and continued in her life. However, all was not sunshine for my beloved little sister. Her young, happy life took an abrupt turn when she was 12. First, we were in a car accident that severely injured our mother's ankle. Next, our larger-than-life father was felled by a major stroke and died a week later at the age of 49. Many of you have heard that story, but you never get over something like that. Our mother, who was stressed by the accident and financial worries, did not function well during this crisis. Soon our Aunt Olivia and cousin Karen came to live with our mother because her Uncle Warren was at UC Medical Center dying of bladder cancer. Roberta and cousin Karen Joe would visit Uncle and then head down to Golden Gate Park. What was happening in the 60s in Golden Gate Park? Do you remember? All these bands that later became famous were playing for free, like the Grateful Dead and Bob Dylan. How many were you? Anybody else in Golden Gate Park at that time? Okay. Most of you aren't old enough. So she got to become a flower child. I didn't cut this very well. I'm sorry, just a minute. Okay. I was a teacher at a school that shared, it's a long story, but anyway, I was a teacher. She was a student, and she found refuge with a discussion club sponsored by Selwyn Jones, the art teacher, and her enduring friendships with the Brunos, with Yvonne, the Gavin sisters, and Rudy that helped her navigate high school, because there was a lot of dropping out and running away in the 60s. Some of you may have heard about that. The next crisis in Roberta's life hit hard. She would struggle with it until her early 30s. She started having grand mal seizures from epilepsy. And the first hospital experience, the first emergency experience that came, they came and picked her up, and it cost my mother 2 weeks' salary. I believe it was her successful struggles with these life challenges that made her the healer she became. One thing that always sustained her was love. She was born into a family which included Aunt Olivia's family and our large extended family of grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins in St. Louis. She lived the words from the song, "The greatest thing you'll ever learn is to love and be loved in return." That was a Nat King Cole song. It was our father's signature song. It became one of Olivia's signature songs, and thank you for singing it today. Roberta graduated from high school and enrolled in San Francisco State, now University. She majored in creative arts. What else? Can you imagine anything else? And there, in a Dylan Thomas class, she met a handsome, brilliant young man, and the rest is their story.
I watched a lot of YouTube videos on how to sing and not cry at the same time, and it turns out that there's not a lot of good tips out there. I did learn, though, that you cannot cry and drink water at the same time. That doesn't really help you when you're singing. Roberta and I both really love Joni Mitchell, and the mic works on this guy. So I'm going to do 2 Joni Mitchells today, and this one is a nice transition in the story because our handsome knight has entered the story, and I think this is a bit of a love song between the two of them. Just before our love got lost, you said, I am as constant as a northern star. And I said, constantly in the darkness, where's that at? If you want me, I'll be in the bar, on the back of a cartoon coaster, and a blue TV screen light. I drew a map of Canada, oh Canada, with your face sketched on it twice. So you're in my blood like holy wine. You taste so bitter and so sweet. Oh, I could drink a case of you, darling, and I would still be on my feet. Oh, I would still be on my feet. Oh, I am a lonely painter. I live in a box of paints. I'm frightened by the devil, and I'm drawn to those ones that ain't afraid. I remember that time you told me, you said love is touching souls. Surely you touched all of ours, 'cause part of you pours out of me in these lines from time to time. Oh, you're in my blood like holy wine. You taste so bitter and so sweet. Oh, I could drink a case of you, darling, and I'd still be on my feet. Oh, I would still be on my feet. I met a woman, she had a mouth like yours. She knew your life, she knew your devils and your deeds. And she said, go to him, stay with him if you can, but be prepared to bleed. You're in my blood like holy wine. You're so gonna welcome up my favorite Uncle Tom. I think, no? Oh, we switched it up? Oh, I'm so sorry. Jeremy, you are up next.
So first, I'm going to read something my dad wrote. My father, Leroy, husband of my mother, Patricia, who just spoke. It's too quiet? All right. Sounds so loud to me. My father would have wanted to be here today, but he just had hip surgery, so he's at home in Modesto, hopefully watching this online if the technical aspects cooperated. Roberta's older sister by 10 years, Patty, and I had been dating for some weeks. I had met their mother and father. Then, unexpectedly, their father, Vern, had a stroke. The family, including 12-year-old Roberta, went to Heinerman Hospital in San Francisco to visit Vern. After the visit, I and Roberta left. I took Roberta by the hand as we walked, feeling sad and abandoned, across Geary Street. I think Roberta always kept in touch with her inner vitality. We were visiting her mother's family, the Schaefers, in St. Louis. We were enjoying the use of their backyard swimming pool. Roberta was 16 and enjoying coming into young adulthood. As Roberta moved from side to side in the pool, several teenage boys in the pool looked on, not disinterestedly. As I saw Roberta grow over the years, I saw that she was not stopped by the limitations of the practical. She would always follow her passion. She would follow her bliss, as Joseph Campbell might have put it. She would, quote, play first and pay later, one might say colloquially. Patty and Roberta have been very close over the years. Recently, out of nowhere, Roberta said with some unusual force, "Take good care of my sister." And now, how's the mic? I'm getting too close and too far away, but all right, cool. So I too wish that I could speak extemporaneously, but I don't have aphasia yet, but I have self-consciousness and also ADHD. And Roberta didn't have self-consciousness, and she was very free around people, and I found that inspiring. But I wrote this. So I'm Jeremy, Roberta's nephew. I have a lot of gratitude that Roberta was my aunt. It was a joy and an inspiration having such a fun-loving, free-spirited, and welcoming soul as my only aunt. My earliest clear memories of her are from the time my family had moved back to California when I was 6. We'd travel to my grandma Gert's house in the Sunset District in San Francisco for holidays. Grandma's house always seemed festive, but when Aunt Roberta and Uncle Thomas arrived, their lively energy took it up a notch. That's when the party would be in full swing. They would joke and play with me and my brother Zach. They acted like kids with us, but at the same time seemed so much older, worldly, wise, and hip. It's funny now to think that they would have been only 23 or 24 years old at the time. In all the decades since, several yearly visits with them were assured, without fail. And eventually, Olivia and Aaron came into the world and joined the jam. The comfort and meaning I drew from these extended family gatherings, the celebration, music, and song, practicing family traditions, was foundational to my sense of myself and my place in the world. I always felt welcome and at ease with the Walters. Later in my 20s, I had a job involving a long commute. They generously hosted me at their home in Belmont a night or two every week. It felt like I had a second immediate family. I could relate to them so effortlessly. Once during that era, Roberta and I were watching something on TV. I can't remember why. That wasn't a common activity. Some politicians, congresspeople, were on display. Roberta quipped, "Boy, those people sure look weird." That cracked us up. I loved it when she let loose with laughter and a gleam in her eye. The funny and insightful thing about it wasn't simply that they looked weird physically, and not that there's anything wrong with it. The insight was that they were psychologically and spiritually weird, in a way that comes when one is practiced in the art of deception, of falseness and duplicity. Roberta lived her life in stark contrast to those ways. This is what most inspired me about my aunt. She was true to herself. She wasn't inclined to buy into consensus reality or the status quo, the things that so many people seem to care about that motivate them, like worrying about little dramas, obsessively trying to impress people, getting power for the sake of lording it over other people, worrying about saving face. At an event like this, in the presence of you all, the type of people who would gather for Roberta's memorial service in a place like Oakland, there is little doubt it's okay to be oneself, to risk being different. But at times that has been difficult for me, and I remember it wasn't even a possibility I was aware of at one point. I remember the feelings of isolation and pressure to conform to standards I couldn't relate to or couldn't adhere to. I remember this, for example, during junior high school in Modesto. The possibility of an alternative was hastened and facilitated by Roberta's presence and example. She indicated to my young mind that there was another way. This was formative as I entered high school, and the realization dawned and blossomed that I could be different, that it was okay, and even something to be proud of. What stands out to me is that Roberta was strongly aligned towards living her life in a way that was true to who she was. There may have been times when circumstances that required being practical, but she always came back to this fundamental orientation. She found her own way. One thing that especially impressed me in this regard was how she carefully cultivated her own daily spiritual practice. She made it a top priority and was exceedingly consistent with it. From observations of my own efforts and failings in this area, I know that it takes nothing short of a warrior spirit to prioritize one's own connection with oneself and the divine in this way. And she was dedicated to it all the way to the end, even after Olivia's accident. The amount of fortitude she displayed was astounding. Her dedication to a higher good and to her own calling were unflagging. Thomas reports that on one of her last nights, imagined entities, or perhaps for all I know they were real, were present in their bedroom. Roberta was enthusiastically, wholeheartedly engaging them in art therapy. I and we are so thankful to you, Aunt Roberta. You will always be an inspiration to me and all of us, a beacon and reminder of how to be true to oneself.
when you're down and troubled and you need a helping hand, and nothing, no, nothing is going right. Close your eyes and think of me, and soon I will be there to brighten up even your darkest night. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you got to do is call, and I'll be there. Oh, you got a friend. If the sky above you should turn dark and full of clouds, or that old north wind begin to blow, keep your head together and call my name out loud. Soon you'll hear me knocking at your door. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you got to do is call, and I'll be there. Oh, now ain't it good to know that you got a friend when people can be so cold? They'll hurt you and desert you. They'll take your soul if you let them. Don't you let them. You can sing with me if you want. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you got to do is call, and I'll be there. Oh, you got a friend. You got a friend. Ain't it good to know you got a friend?
Hello. Is this good? Closer, okay. Hi. I'm Zach. I'm the other nephew. And I don't think I'm going to be very good at this, and I wrote something because I didn't think there was any way I was going to get through it otherwise. I'm not Jennifer, even though it says that on the program. My wife was going to do this for me, but my wife and child woke up sick today, so they're over there in a heap. She can't talk very well. So this isn't really about Roberta per se. It's about me, obviously, but it's about Tom and Roberta mostly.
For me, Tom and Roberta are always linked. We were never going to Uncle Tom's house or Aunt Roberta's house. It was always Tom and Roberta's. For me, this first incarnation existed in Novato, occasionally referred to as Uncle Tom's cabin, the perhaps somewhat not PC joke being lost on me. I was 6, maybe. My memories there include my aunt offering me whole wheat pancakes, yuck, and a young wolf dog named Quanta. Chasing me around in an effort to get at my shoelaces. I remember that. Then Guerneville, my personal favorite, where they lived for many years and expanded their family, and I can envision my first impressions of what would become a Walter abode, homey and inviting, good smells and things to eat, although likely still too grainy for my tastes. Always with the overloaded about to topple bookshelf. Frequently used piano and nylon string guitar, board games strewn about, a quart-sized mason jar half filled with brewer's yeast. It was an environment disheveled and chaotic in a way that somehow made it comforting. It was a happy place. I was never mad about going there. Then 2 subsequent houses in Belmont, the second of which was my favorite because I lived there for a couple months in 2008. Again, same setup and experience for me. Tom and Roberta cooked dinner every night, and it was tasty and abundant. One weekend, I drove to Modesto to visit Jennifer and Hayden, and my cat died. He was living there. The Walters graciously placed him in their garage freezer, where he stayed for weeks so I could eventually give him a home burial, because that's the kind of people the Walters are. They'll store your deceased feline in the icebox for you. Then beautiful but remote Woodside, the only Walter home my youngest child, Elle, would ever know. But they moved the January birthday parties to San Mateo, bigger space and more accessible to travelers. But my Aunt Roberta was obviously more than part of a unit. When I think of her, the initial adjectives that come to mind are unbridled optimism followed by enthusiasm. But it's the enthusiasm that sticks with me the most. It's the optimism that sticks with me the most, especially when caring for her own daughter, an experience that would make the strongest person crumble. This is how I choose to remember her, and it's helpful for me because my default mode is not one of optimism. Roberta had a unique way of getting through tough times in a way that was nothing short of admirable. It didn't seem like she questioned if so much as the how of it. The way through was a foregone conclusion. Shun the feelings and focus on the logistics. It was just a matter of jumping on to go along with her. As I began to think about what I wanted to say today, I was struck by how large the Walters have loomed in my life. And if I stop and linger too hard, it breaks my heart a little bit. Thinking about those moments and them being gone. Around January of 2020, as we were departing the Walter space in San Mateo, the weight of this became apparent to me. So outside, I spoke with Aaron briefly about my desire to keep the Walter Egenberger tradition going, and we made a plan. He and my brother and Olivia and I would go on a Zoom call and discuss it. But it didn't happen. COVID was around the corner, and Olivia had her accident, and life got really, really hard. However, and although there are fewer of us, the family traditions will continue. I'm not going to pressure my children to carry on the Walter Egenberger, now Dinsdale history. I don't think I need to, because it should happen organically. Because who doesn't love Aaron? He is, of course, Roberta's kid. That's all. Thank you.
can't get Walters together without there being music. Flute, violin, singing, guitar, drum circles. Oops, sorry. This is another song that Roberta really loved, and I actually played it for her the last time I saw her, which was, I think, 5 or 6 days before she passed, so a little over a year ago. And Patty and I were in the hospital room with her, and she was radiant. She was so radiant, and we were singing, and she was so hungry. And Patty was eating snacks and apologizing for the smell in the room and she said, "No, don't leave. I want you here with me, Patty." And I really loved being invited into that sister space with them, where they were talking about their father who would sing these love songs to their mother. And they were so in love, just like the kind of love that I've seen in between my Aunt Roberta and my Uncle Tom for my entire life. Rose and flows and angel hair and ice cream castles in the air and feather canyons everywhere. I've looked at clouds that way. Now they only block the sun. They rain and snow on everyone. So many things I would have done. The clouds got in my way. I've looked at clouds from both sides now, up and down. Still somehow it's clouds illusions I recall. I really don't know clouds at all. Moons and Junes and Ferris wheels, the dizzy dancing way that you feel as every fairy tale comes real. I've looked at love that way, but now it's just another show. You leave 'em laughing when you go, and if you care, don't let them know. Don't give yourself away. I've looked at clouds from both sides now, give and take. Still somehow it's love's illusions I recall. I really don't know love. I really don't know love at all. Tears and fears and feeling proud. Just say I love you right out loud. Dreams and schemes, circus crowds. I've looked at life that way, but now old friends are acting strange. They shake their heads, they say I've changed. Well, And now I get to invite my Uncle Tom up.
It's been a year, and it's abundantly clear to both Aaron and I that there's much that is missing that was present in our life. And there's no way to fill that. But I am grateful that it's not one of these situations where we didn't know what we had till it's gone. Roberta was a gem to share life with, and I knew it. Is Emma here? I remember having some conversations, I don't know, 2020, 2021, before my family troubles started. And Emma and I, from time to time, we have an opportunity to chat and catch up. What's going on with you? What's happening in your relationships and life? And I have a recollection of, on more than one occasion, going on a bit of a Roberta rant with you. And it's good to remember these things, because the life I've lived in the last year has been different. There's not been the joy and the robust vitality. It's been a lot of grieving, and it's good to remember the things that I told you about Roberta and myself. See, we'd be catching up. What's going on with you? Oh, you need changes. Your relationships are evolving. So I'm in my 70s, of course. I weigh in with the vision and wisdom of age. And I don't know how I got to the Roberta rant, but I was sharing that at the beginning of a relationship, you have that attraction. And biology has provided us with that. It's what keeps our species going. It's a very, very important, but it does not last. It doesn't need to. The job's done. Now, we discovered that if it's really good and we've got something going on and there's common interest, common friends, passions, there are more reasons to be together. So I was suggesting to her that there's like a chemical process. The early chemistry is really easy, but it fades and the tolerance builds really quickly. Now, when you're starting to build a partnership and a relationship, it's a different, perhaps more subtle bit of chemistry, but it starts to build over time. And what happens, as many learn, is that it turns into nesting. And if you want to see your chemistry change, try having a baby or two, and then the relationship has these other things that are just part of the dynamic. And I think where I was going with it was that I discovered as the kids were growing up, there was a new kind of chemistry, a new set of neurotransmitters that were starting to kick in. You don't notice them right away. They're kind of subtle, but they build over time. I may have used a word like oxytocin, but we really don't know what it means. It's just how we feel. And I was sharing that I discovered that with Roberta, as the years progressed, I got more and more of a feed from this. It was like, it was a drug, but you didn't develop tolerance. You got more sensitive to it. And the more that you got and gave, the more it grew. And I'd gotten to a point where I would say things like, I am just so in love with Roberta. I'm more attracted to her now than I was when we were young. It's just so much fun. And she surprises me. Here we are, we're old, and she continually surprises me. And like Erin mentioned that she turned into a professional drummer at 65. I mean, she was one of the highest paid drummers I even know. Now, Colleen knows about that gig. Colleen's here. She and Roberta met on 9/11. They were hiking. And as the world was reacting with angst and separation and hostility and division. They had a different vision. And within 10 years of them working on their vision, Colleen's dance company was so dynamic and successful. And Roberta and she had so many classes and seminars and things like that going that they needed to create a nonprofit because we need insurance, we need to process donations, we need to do all things. So they dragged me into it and I helped, but it was their thing. And one of the benefits was that there was this contract with the county where, well, this was different than working with the trafficked teens. There was a lot of that sort of work, but this was with some hardcore girls in the juvenile justice system. And because the county wanted us to have a robust capacity, I went ahead and got fingerprinted and did the training. So if we ever had an absentee, I could go and be a backup for the assistant. And so that rarely happened, but there was one time when the assistant couldn't show up, so I went with Roberta. So we go to this facility, and there's 14 girls who were all probably arrested within the previous 2 weeks, and they're all together, and they're all being required to come from this part of the facility into this room where these 2 old people are sitting there, and they're just like, oh, well, we have to do it, we're incarcerated, there's locks on the door, there's armed guards standing there, we got to do this. But they didn't have to like it, and it was pretty clear that we don't want to do this. And there was one woman who really, well, I guess I should call her a girl, but she was the alpha female, and the group that come in, clearly there were divisions. There was a little bit of an ethnic division, and there was a leader of one of the groups who had a lot of attitude. And she comes in with a big swagger. The man can make her do it, but she doesn't have to cooperate. Just all this attitude. And there was all this tension and hostility amongst these girls. And this young woman sees these drums that we have all lined up, and she comes up and with all kinds of hostility, she hits it really hard, walks on. Now I'm thinking, she used the provided equipment in an appropriate way to make an authentic emotional expression. We are on our way. So why I'm sharing this is so that you understand what happened. By the end of this session, I saw this group of girls who were experiencing ecstatic dance. Their hands were thrown up. They were chanting. They had their own words, their own speech. And everybody was together at the same time, and they all had this amazing experience, and they were all talking about, like, I feel so high. And Roberta says, yeah, it's legal. And I don't know if I've ever seen my tax dollars spent more effectively. Well, think about it. I'm never going to forget this, and I don't think either one of them are going to forget it, and they're always going to know that through expressive community that there's this opportunity to experience these things. And that was the brilliance of Roberta, is she lived it. It was authentic with her, and she was motivated to share it. And that's just one example. And I was really impressed with the body of work that she created, the number of people, the number of individuals whose lives were transformed. And it was just remarkable to share this life with her. And I know from like what I shared with Emma that I knew what I had before it was gone, and I'm glad that we had 45 years of peace and love, and that I was able to raise my children in an environment when they got into kindergarten and kids were fighting, they're going, what's that? Okay, and I was able to do this with Roberta. Now, there were some things about her illness that I need to share, I think, with you. When we first arrived in Germany, we were greeted by Laura, a good friend of Olivia's, and the daughter of a good friend of mine. And within a few days, my good friend Steve showed up. And the first few conversations he and I had, is what was on his heart. His concern with what was happening to my family was that he perceived that Roberta was at serious risk and that she was being harmed in the process. And I don't have the tools or the ability to mitigate that, but he understood something. And it came to pass that this struggle with Olivia, I don't know why it didn't kill me. It was pretty hard for her. And we had such support from so many in our community. It was just incredible. The boys that came and spoke and shared from their heart were a big part of Roberta's life. And she was really thrilled with me when she discovered that I was one of those guys who would play with her nephews. That was a real bonding moment for us. And I know that Patty liked that too. There's things that happened in the final weeks of Roberta's life that I really feel like I need to share, and I don't quite know how. There was a day when Barry and Francine came to visit, and Krista, Aaliyah, and Cassie came that day as well. And I was in the kitchen doing something, and Barry, who's my hero, he earned it. Barry came down the hall and he was weeping. And he described to me what he saw. And in the bedroom, the great big bed, and the sun was pouring in. And the girls were doing art with Roberta on the bed. And Roberta was just having a great time. And the kids had played music with her there. And Francine and Barry were witnessing this, but there was something that was sort of sacred that emerged, and it touched him and it moved him. And I appreciate that. Francine and Barry were so supportive and so helpful. And there were so many people who showed up and were present. My sister got together with Roberta, and they were a powerhouse at coming up with real solutions. I was completely supported by my other sister, Gayleen. She came to visit and stayed with us, and they don't have impaired executive functioning. They really got after it and helped us get started packing and moving. It was really incredible. But what happened, and it was referred to earlier, that Roberta was engaging with entities or psychological projections, if you will. But it started after that visit of the kids with Roberta. That night, I don't know how much sleep Roberta got, but I woke up again and again, and she was sitting up in bed, and she was saying things like, "Oh, that is so good. The way you outlined that and used the color, it just drew out the feeling. I can see what you're doing there. That's excellent." And there was a whole group of people around the bed, and she was interacting with them and encouraging them, and she was doing art therapy with them. I fell asleep. I wake up later, and she's with her grief and loss group, and she's counseling people and helping them with their sense of loss. And I'm listening to her do this. I know better than to interrupt, but I wanted to share with you that when the veil was thin, and when she had her foot in the other world, she was doing the thing. It was what she was, it's what she wanted to do, it's what she did in life, and I think in some form it's what she's up to right now. And it certainly was what she was doing when she was getting ready to cross over. And I wanted you to know that she was authentic. Her goodness and her good intentions for others, I knew her really, really well. She was very kind. Now, she could fight, she could be adversarial. There was the Sweetwater Springs Water District. That was nothing but a fight every day, but she was up for it. So I'm not sure how we put our lives back together because there's just so much that's missing, but you can see that we still have so much. And it's enough. It's what we have, and I'm very grateful for that. And I think, well, I know that Roberta would prefer lots of celebratory thing. And I know that she wouldn't be happy with the fact that I've been sad. And I don't know how to be happy anymore, but she's rooting for me. So, I love you all. And baby Cosmo and Rosalie didn't make it, I don't think, but the little babies, yeah. And Lyndon and Blake and all the cousins, yeah. Thank you for being here. You're what keeps us going, and Aaron and I are going to figure it out. We haven't yet. It's still a struggle, and but I think we have what we need, and we have you, and we have love, and we aspire to the divine. That's what we got. Our last music selection, I don't have words right now, I'm sorry. Our last musical guest is my sister. If you thought you were a fan of my sister's music, you did not beat my mother. She, super fan. All the shows she can make it to, sharing her music. She played her album so much, I had to stop her. I was like, Mom, you play anything enough times, it's too much. Even my own sister's album. As many of you know, it's so surreal listening to my sister's album because imbued in it and in the lyrics and all of it is how to process the very thing that we've been going through. It's very meta and scary sometimes. But anyway, so we're going to close out with her track, Grief and Praise. This song has gotten me through so much, through this, all of it. So thank you so much again for coming out. Yeah.
I drink from the well of grief. The tears allowed me to see the fear of losing all that I love. Can I now face my own mortality? I drink from the well of
Wow. Sometimes I swear Olivia wrote that song for you, for all of us. Roberta lived an amazing life, and she truly brought two amazing humans into the world. With Thomas, she created a beautiful home. Roberta impacted and healed and changed so many people's lives. And there's just one simple thought that I want to share before we close out, is this idea that I always think about whenever someone passes, which is this idea that comes from many cultures throughout time that I just call the idea of the two deaths. And we all die once when our body leaves this world. And we all die a second time when our name is last spoken, when our story no longer is told. And there was nothing any one of us could do to save Roberta from the first death, but we can save her from the second death. And that's to continue to share the stories that have been told here today, to continue to share her memories, to continue to sing those songs and do the art therapy. And as Aaron said, this is the first annual celebration of life for Roberta, and to continue having those celebrations, to continue coming together as family and celebrating the life, the love, the legacy, because she does truly live on in each one of us in our hearts and in our memories. And so now we have the responsibility of carrying her forward. And so I want to say that on August 30th, 2024, the Spirit of Life called that portion of itself that we came to know as Roberta Ellen Wetzel Walter, and called that portion back of itself back into the infinite. The vessel was left empty, but the Spirit lived on. And I think Roberta deserves a standing ovation for a life truly well lived. So Roberta, we lift you up, we love you, we celebrate you. And so on behalf of Thomas and Aaron and the whole family, I just want to say thank you to everyone for being here. We do have some food and art therapy for everyone to engage in the social hall next door, and there's an open mic, so there's time for more sharing of stories and music and get to know each other, find out how, if you don't recognize someone, find out how they knew Roberta and share those stories. Thank you to everyone. Much love.